What up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Matt Wyatt. So lately, I went out to go see the new Ridley Scott's historical epic film called Napoleon. I went out to go see this in IMAX, and I was looking forward to this movie because the trailer looked intriguing, and it looked like we were getting back into the swing with Ridley Scott as a filmmaker. And it's following the story of Napoleon, who was once a great leader in the military army, to becoming the most powerful emperor in France. And we explore the journey through rise and fall of Napoleon and his relentless, volatile relationship between Josephine and Napoleon himself. We explore the toxicity of their relationship together. And look, I was still nervous going into this movie because he's put out a lot of movies that were not his best work. His last film that he put out was The Last Duel that came out, I believe, in 2021, which not everybody loved, but I'm one of the people that liked it a lot more than most people. I know it's not going to be made for everybody, but his last great film, a masterpiece called The Martian, was absolutely brilliant. And it was back in it was like several years ago when it came out. Then he directed The House of Gucci, which that was a big stinker in like 2.5 hours that I will never get back. But during his early days as a filmmaker, I loved his earlier films, like the latest the movie that came out in the late 70s called Alien was absolutely brilliant. It was a groundbreaking sci-fi horror film. My favorite of his movies is Gladiator by Russell Crowe, and that movie that won an Academy Award for Best Picture. And I thought that movie was brilliant from beginning to end. He's no new to doing a big historical epic scale when it comes to movies like this. From a technical standpoint, from the movie Napoleon, he did a phenomenal job bringing the battle sequences and the scale and making it more ruthless, very raw and visceral, and not hold back any of the brutality. And there's a lot of a practical stunt works with some of the rendered CGI. But if you look at behind the scenes, most of those fighting were done practical, and I loved that he was able to bring some of it back, and he did a great job of bringing a lot of these extras into the middle of the battle sequences. This is easily the best part of the movie. The problem is with the film that the story and the character development felt very mid. It was a poorly done. It's not as good as I was hoping for. It's not really that good of a film, to be honest with you. When we explore the relationship development between the love story with Josephine and Napoleon, it felt very dull and very boring. I didn't find the relationship that interesting. I understand that there's a toxic relationship between the two of them, and that they're obsessed with one another and they hate each other. They're in a love-hate relationship, and they explore through going through the whole gossip newspaper that's going around in the world of what Napoleon has done behind when they were going behind each other's back and having an affair throughout time. I don't know how accurate that was, and I didn't really study the history behind the relationship. And when we get into some of the major battle sequences when he's going off to war to other foreign leaders, you never really built up to that battle, and there's not enough weight to it. The supporting characters just came and went. You didn't care. There's this one scene in the movie when he was having a conversation and having a drink with a Russian leader of how much they really hate the Britain and they were willing to work together. Then they just cut to where now they're about to go off to war, and it just cut away so quickly. Like, where did that come from? Earlier in the film, you were just having a drink and working out their partnership, and now you're at war with each other. It felt like some of the scenes were left out of the cutting room floor. And from what I've heard, Ridley Scott is supposed to have like a 4-hour cut of the movie that he probably will be putting it out on streaming on Apple TV, because originally this movie was supposed to go straight to streaming on Apple TV, but then they decided to make this more of a theatrical release, kind of like with Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. When we see Napoleon meet Josephine for the first time, it just felt weird and strange. And there's a couple of sex scenes in the movie that felt so awkward and weird. Like, I don't know if I should take this seriously. Everybody in the theater was cracking up majority of the time. They didn't do it once. They did it twice, and it was weird and stupid. I was like, why are we watching this? I feel like that they were kind of making the character more of a parody. I mean, I don't know who Napoleon was back in the day. I have no idea. I haven't done my study of the history of Napoleon. But when you get through the journey for him rising to power as an emperor and be the ruler of France, you didn't really build up to it. They were just simply showing you the greatest hits of what the events have taken place, and it almost felt like you were just watching a history channel without any context. There's not enough story built up. There's no weight to it. And that's what really pulled me out of the film. Now, I love Joaquin Phoenix's performance. his performance is great, even though that he could not pull off the French accent, but that's just me being a little bit nitpicky. I'll give that a pass. But Joaquin Phoenix is great in anything he's in. He just won an Academy Award for Best Actor for Joker, which was well deserved. He was in Ridley Scott's movie Gladiator that played the main villain of the film. I thought he is an incredible actor. Then you got Vanessa Kirby, which, in case you don't know who Vanessa Kirby is, she's the same actress that was in the Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise that played the White Widow in Fallout and Dead Reckoning Part 1. And I think she steals the spotlight in Napoleon. And there's another negative that I want to go into, that every time we go through the journey of him going off, when Napoleon going off to war, you're literally hearing a narrative of him writing a journal with Josephine every time. They did it constantly. And then they had Josephine right back to him. And it felt so repetitive, and I didn't really care. Overall, this is very a mid Ridley Scott movie at its best. I wouldn't rush to go out to see it in the theater, but if you're someone who just wants to go out and see it, a big historical epic film on a technical standpoint, then you should go see it in an IMAX format. It looked great in IMAX. I enjoyed the sound design, and I enjoyed the grand scale of the battle, but the problem is that it just did not have enough context, not enough weight to it for me to care for. I say just wait for it to go to streaming. And maybe when I see the 4-hour cut of the version of the film, maybe it would be a lot better than the one that we got from a theatrical standpoint. Because it's not the first time that this happened. If you look back on the movie called Kingdom of Heaven with Orlando Bloom, which I only saw portions of that film. I didn't really watch the director's cut, but from what I've heard, that for the people who have viewed the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven, they saw this as a different movie and it was a better version than the theatrical cut. Maybe for Napoleon, if we get a director's cut, maybe it will be better. I hope so, or maybe it might be worse. We'll find out. Now, have you seen Napoleon? Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me? And if you haven't seen it, are you looking forward to seeing it? Are you going to go off to see it in theaters, or are you going to skip it and just watch it on streaming? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, leave it a like and subscribe to my channel for more videos to come. Help me boost those numbers. It's just one click of a button, and I would really appreciate your support. I hope you guys had a great day, great evening, wherever you're from. I hope you guys stay safe and take care.